remember what it was like when you stayed home from school for the day, when you were perhaps sick? Well, no such luxury for some of the students at St Stephen's College in Upper Coomera. No daytime TV, no Netflix. The instructions from the federal government are for those returning from China to self-isolate for 14 days in a bid to limit the spread of coronavirus, of course. But St Stephen's has ensured that the learning hasn't stopped. Kim Cohen is principal of St Stephen's College, kind enough to join us this morning. Kim, hello.
Hi, how are you, Matt?
Talk us through what it is that you're doing to cater for these kids that are stuck.
Well, soon after we got the directive from the government and from the health department, we determined that the students really couldn't fall behind in their learning. A number of them are senior students and very serious about their academics. So what we've done is introduce live streaming from all the classes that they'll be missing. And what that really is that it's almost as if the students are in a class. They can interact with their classmates via technology. They can ask the teachers questions and really be a part of the lesson. So it's a tool we're using called Microsoft Teams, and it allows us to live stream as well as record the lessons for those, obviously, who are in a time zone where it's not practical for them to be a part of the lesson live.
Isn't technology a fabulous thing sometimes?
I know, it's quite amazing when it's used properly. It really is.
Tell me, how many kids are affected?
Well, we've got a large number of international students as well as domestic Chinese students. At the moment, I think we're looking at about changes, of course, as the 14-day period ends for a number of them. But I think we're at about 30 students today that are still out. Hopefully, they'll all be back next week. We've had no incidents or no symptoms at all, but we're just following the government directive of those students who've been to China and Hong Kong. A lot of our Chinese students didn't actually travel home during the holidays, so that was a relief.
Yeah, of course. So some of these students are overseas, some of them are in isolation here in Australia.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So the majority are in isolation here at home. But there were 5 that were affected on Saturday when the directive came that no students or nobody could travel from China or Hong Kong to Australia. One was actually turned away at the airport, but there are still 5 of them stuck over there. And that may be obviously a long-term thing because it depends on the government's policies and what happens next.
Kim Cohen's the principal of St Stephen's College at the north of our city, in Coomera, of course, and pretty proud of your international student program. It must be, I know it's a pretty ordinary period of time that you have to nurse your students through, but you must be pretty proud of the fact that your school community can, adapt in this kind of way.
Oh, absolutely. And the teachers were really keen to find a way of being able to include these kids in classes. So we have amazing technology set up here. We are a Microsoft school, and our head of e-learning, Matthew Jorgensen, as well as our head of international students, Sam Holmes, are just so proactive in this area and passionate about making sure that the students are getting the learning that they need. So our numbers, of course, international numbers are pretty big. We've got about 160 international students,
wow.
Coupled with about 140 who are domestic students, but English is another language. So it's a very diverse community here.
Yeah.
And
Kim, what's been the reaction from students here in Australia to those who are stuck or in isolation overseas or domestically?
There's been a fair amount of empathy, I must admit. Watching the media and seeing some incidents of the news across Australia of some unpleasant incidents was always quite alarming. But the students here have been quite amazing. We've kept them and their parents in the loop every step of the way as to exactly what's happening in our international arena. So everybody's aware of the policies, the procedures we've put in place and how we are supporting the other students. And it's really business as usual for those who are here, but they are obviously concerned about their classmates and missing them. So hopefully by next week, when the majority are back, it'll all go back to normal. And obviously we're just waiting for those 5 who are still in China or Hong Kong who are not able to